Podcast. What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Fries with Vinnie. Another wonderful episode of Fries with Vinnie. And yeah, this is an exciting week, guys, because yeah, not only is this is the first episode, well, not the first episode. This is the first official video episode because I've discovered a new way to record a podcast, but also it's exciting because finally your boy is once again a dad. I mean, I was already a dad. I'll still be a dad. Like, it's too late for me. Basically, what I'm saying, even if you knock off one of my kids, I got another one. So there's no way to stop me from being a dad. The world is one step closer to being destroyed because Vinny has another kid. That's right, my friends. Last Tuesday, the 18th, my second child was born, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. I am feeling fatigued because I have not at all recovered from this one. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I was not the one hit hardest by this by any means. I was just, I was just there, I mean, granted I have only, had maybe a solid 10 hours of sleep this whole week ever since. But nonetheless, I would just like to preface this by saying that yeah, I am not the one that had my nether regions stretched wide enough to get a big old baby boy out of my pussy. That was not my it's not my job. That's not the role I played in this. I just busted a big old nut 9 months ago, and now here we are. Here we are 9 months later, and I've got another kid. Really, I should be more careful about that. This is starting to be a problem. Not gonna lie, I was my my old friend Cyan Ice on Twitch. I was popping in on a couple of his streams this week while I was home. Showing my support for the troops. Gotta support these troops. And yeah, he was asking about because I told him via the chat that I had a second kid, and he was like, "Holy crap, dude! Holy fuck, you're a dad?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I'm a." He's just like, "Do you think you're gonna have more?" And I was like, "Fuck, I don't know, because I know Jana wants more. I get that, and I don't want to like put my foot down yet, but at the same time." It's just like, man, two babies is really hard. I want to make sure I'm there for my kids while they're growing up. I don't want to be like, sorry, kids, I have died because between going back to school and taking care of a baby, I don't got time for you older kids. You know, and that's what I kind of said in the chat at that time. I was just like, I don't want to be spread too thin. 'Cause damn, dude, like I don't know. I don't know. Like, like there's definitely there's a limit somewhere in there. But I don't know where necessarily the straw that breaks the camel's back is. I don't know how many kids is too many kids, and maybe that's not a maybe that's not a concrete number anyway. Maybe maybe it's just like it depends on how what kind of life you live. I mean, if you got two parents at home, you could take care of all kinds of kids, but most people don't have that luxury. Most people can't even have one parent at home. We're lucky in that regards. Granted, I mean fuck, dude, I don't fucking know how that would even work, because like how would I possibly how would how would we possibly like afford to pay for daycare for two kids now? You know, two little kids. I mean, I not only do I like it better this way because surprise, surprise, I kind of want us to be the ones that raise our kids. I don't want to only see them for a couple hours in the evening every day. And I mean, it's the same thing as like homeschooling. It's like, how do I how do I keep these kids from being as fucked up as I am? Like, how do I stop that? How do I do it? How do I do it, guys? Let me know in the comments how to not fuck up. How do I keep them from having the same problems I have? Cause I know you guys are just like, oh, Vinny, you're not messed up. You guys don't know me. You don't know me. All you know is this facade that I put on for the podcast and for live streams. And don't get me wrong, I come out every now and then and try to be as honest as I possibly can. But like, I feel like there's always this major disconnect of like, your deepest darkest thoughts, and maybe that's normal, ain't it, Norman? But I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to freaking make my kids not be able to like function around a lot of other people. But maybe, I don't know, dude. Maybe I was just born broken. Maybe that's why I could never make friends. Maybe it's just like maybe it was just like a ingrown thing. Maybe it had nothing to do with how I was raised. Maybe I'd be fucked up no matter what I did. But anyway, how are you guys doing? Hope you guys made it through the week and that you're feeling more rested up than I am, because gosh dang it, I am I am tired, man. I am freaking tired. I don't I feel a little weird too, because like this is only the second time that I've done like a video version of a podcast, which hopefully this turns out right. If you're seeing a video on YouTube, congratulations. I'm making eye contact with the camera right now. I'm trying my best to just not acknowledge it, because I would really I try my best to forget the camera. Like, this is really an audio medium. I don't and but this what I figured out, basically, this thing called Zencaster, right? It essentially, you can video chat with people, but instead of recording your screen and the audio that comes through your computer, it'll record on their end. It'll record a little file in their cache on their browser. And I was like, holy fuck, that's incredible. Because like that's always been my problem with these, is that I needed that high quality. I want that high quality crisp audio. Unfortunately, most of the people I want to have on this podcast are people like me, who do this kind of shit all the time. This kind of stuff where they're like, they got the good audio stuff. So unlike a lot of, like, back in the day, I might interview someone via Skype and they're using their webcam. They were using their webcam as a microphone, and it didn't sound good once it came through Skype. But now, with this, it'll run the video through my computer at 240p quality on the video, and it'll do its best to keep my audio and video going fast so that we can have a normal conversation. But then once it's said and done, it sounds like we were recorded in studio. And I know a lot of people that do the same thing. Sorry, I need to stick a sip of beer here. I've not been taking care of myself, guys. I've not been doing good. I really I don't know, man. I guess I need I need something. I don't know what. I need a life coach is what I need. I don't want to pay one of those assholes, because fuck those guys. But like, at the same time, like, man, I wish I had as good of a regimen as I do with work, right? Because like, if for my normal life it was just like, sorry, from 9 to 5 I'm unavailable, I've got to go work and I got to go do stuff, or at home, hey, you got to take your time to study for this exam or whatever, or make sure you take care of your tools or whatever, whatever field you happen to be in. We all deal with that, where it's just like, hey, there's things we have to do for our job, and we do that stuff. So why do I have such a problem doing little things that would like make me not feel like shit all the time? Like, why don't I just like drink enough water? Why is it that I drink coffee first thing in the morning? Why don't I drink water? I don't know. And that's a common problem. It's not like I'm freaking, and it's not like I'm some weird relic of humanity. Like, holy shit, look at that boy. He has a hard time with self-discipline and making himself take care of himself and drink water and stuff. You know what the real problem is? You know what the real problem is, guys? I hold myself to too high of a standard and then feel bad for not meeting it. And so in order to meet that standard, I let things slide, which I shouldn't. You know, it's just like this whole week. I was like, okay, let me just like try to rest up and exercise and just get myself make sure I keep myself healthy because I'm not gonna get a lot of I'm not it's gonna be hard to get rest this week. So take naps and stuff. Did I do that? Of course I didn't do that. Of course I didn't do that. Why would I? Instead, every day, I sleep in because I feel like garbage from the night before, and I'm like, oh no, I can't. I gotta make up for all this time I wasted and clean the whole house, and I gotta pick up the yard and clean out the garage and everything because I got a week off. And I in that week off should just be for recovery, because like I was a little bit more involved than some dads. We'll leave it at that. I don't want to give the impression that I think I'm better than you, even though obviously I am. Of course, I'm better than you. What are you thinking? But it occurs to me I don't know what I don't know what Zencaster is using as my microphone. Which one is it using? Okay, it's using the focus, right? Yeah, that should be right. Okay, let me manage those just to make sure. Yeah, yeah. Um, which cameras? How do I adjust that? Uh, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I just I just want to make sure. I just want to be sure that it's not recording. We'll see. I'll tap it. Did it do it? I think it looks like the audio had a little bit of a hit on it. So I think that's right. Maybe I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. What am I doing? What am I doing? I just want to make sure it's working right. I'm scared because I don't want to find out that all this work was for nothing. I'll embarrass myself by saying that I'm doing a video podcast when I'm in fact not. I also should probably not open up that tab too much unless I'm interviewing somebody, unless we're having like a guest on the podcast. I don't think it's a good idea. What I'd love to do is like use Discord as a way you do like a call-in show, because I've been listening to a lot of like those radio comedians that switch to podcasting and use that. Like Tom Sharpling's a big one. Mark Maron kind of does a similar thing. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to have a like call in show every now and then. It wouldn't have to be every episode, or maybe I could do like one call every episode. Gosh, can you imagine that? And end up being like a 2-hour podcast every time, at least, maybe even like 3 hours. Some of those are really long. You know, which my voice has been doing better ever since starting this podcast. I have improved quite a bit, and yeah, it's good to be improving in that regard. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Man, man. I am off my game today. I'm off my game a little bit. It's I guess it's part of the gig. It's part of the gig. If I don't force myself to do this every week, I'll fall off. It's the same reason that I can't do Twitch very well. That's another thing I want to do this week. I kept being like, I have a drive to do live stream. I want to do live stream this week. Probably because I was watching a lot of live streamers because I had the week off. So it's just like I could do a couple streams this week. That's another thing. You gotta do it regularly. But regularly, I'm used to regular meaning like every week. Like YouTube and Twitch have just changed the game to where like it's no longer enough to do things every week. You gotta do them, a couple, every other day, or a couple times a week at least. And man, I am, I'm feeling like I don't know. I think maybe part of the problem is, and like I'm sure there are a lot of those of you who might relate to this, is that when it comes to what I let slide, it's almost always the things that I actually want to do. Like there's what I need to do, there's what I ought to do, and finally there's what I want to do. And usually, sometimes I'll do something I want instead of something I ought. but I almost never let things I need to do slide. And like, I don't think that's bad. But it would be really nice if I just, man, I don't, because you got to make room for stuff one way or another. And man, man, it sucks. Um, yeah, um, yeah. I just, damn, dude, damn, dude, I feel fatigued. Um, and now I lost my train of thought. See, this is what happens. This is what happens. Oh, and I should mention, since this is a video podcast, can see me clearly sipping my beer, and I've already said it. I'll just come out right now. Your boy failed. Your boy failed dry January. I'm sorry. I made it. I did pretty good. I did pretty good. It was like the evening of the 18th, and I was, but for the last couple of days, it hit me really hard. The first couple of weeks, I was fine. But after that, it was just like, I'm drinking too much caffeine. I need something to offset this. And like I said, I don't want to use alcohol as a crutch. But at the same time, with the way this week has been, I needed something to, like, kind of ease me out in the evenings. And yeah, I've still been being pretty responsible, right? Like, I've been taking care of two kids while also studying for my journeyman exam, which is hopefully coming up soon. I submitted my application. I heard back from them. They were just like, thanks, we'll get this processed as soon as possible. It's like, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Somebody tell me. Somebody tell me what that means. Like, and like, if there's a problem, might have heard back, right? Thank you for your application. We will get this processed as soon as possible. Secretary, South Dakota Electrical Commission, Department of Labor, in Pierre. That's a problem. They live in Pierre. Bunch of freaking losers. Can you imagine somebody living in Pierre is listening? They're like, "What the fuck? Vinnie just called me a loser." Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, guys! I think we need to move on to mail time, because like, I'm just my brain is nowhere. My brain is nowhere. Most weeks I have something I want to talk about on the podcast in one degree or another. This week I'm just like, yeah. And another reason why I am somewhat grateful that I failed dry January is that I think the last few episodes of the podcast have shown that I need some kind of I need something to freaking slow my brain down a little bit and stop me from being, so random and losing track of stuff. I'm gonna listen back to the last episode of the podcast, and I start talking about milk and like drinking milk and the question of whether or not it's a good idea. Did I get into that topic? No, because I went off on a tangent about something else, Twitter or some shit. I don't fucking know. And that's part of what caffeine does to me. It's crazy, man. Um. Anywho, anywho, anywho. I gotta get more videos done, man. I gotta do more videos. I got some that are filmed. I got two still that are filmed. I need to finish editing. One, I'm hesitant because it's so long. It's a long video. Well, it's not gonna be a long video. It's just a lot to edit down, and I want it to be good. But the other one is just like, oh, that's gonna be a lot of work because freaking yeah, it just is. It's just, and it doesn't sound good. It's the main problem because the audio is from my phone, and I think I had my case on, so it's like, do I release this video or not? Maybe I should just be fine with it. It always sounds fine on Cooking with Vinnie. I don't know why this one is a little off. I don't know if it's the angle I was at or what. But anyway, um, it's freaking let's get into mail time, guys. So last week I introduced a segment, music recommendation, or the aux cable, You can send those in to contact at vinnyhard.com or in the comments. So I'm gonna read this. This is from Gwendolyn Sargent, and she sent an email, kind of like a post thingy, talking about her thoughts on the album. So I wanted to read those because I thought I want to hear what she has to say. They have to say. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to stop like guessing at things, but at the same time, I'm sure they're fine with it. I don't want to assume things. I don't know. Is Gwendolyn a male name or a female name? Or is it a gender neutral name? Oh, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Okay. Hey, 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 let's get into the email. Hey, Vinny, it's Gwen from the stream. Thanks for taking my music suggestions. Well, you're welcome. In fact, I'll take anyone's recommendations because if there's one thing I love, it's hearing new kinds of music, even ones, especially ones that I don't like listening to very much, because I think we tend to be very closed off to music we don't understand, and I think that that's dumb. Anyway, I chose the albums specifically based on what I've heard a few of your recommendations. Oh, shucks. I figured they wouldn't be something you typically listen to, so I'm glad you enjoyed them for the most part. And if you don't mind, I would like to comment on some of your thoughts on the albums. So here we go. This is one album at a time. So here we go. Blue, The Color Blue is an insanely creative and well-produced album centered around the musical influence that molded Blue into the artist he is now. That is, oh, I kind of figured it's hard to know exactly like the story behind an album like that because you just listen to the album and it's like this is a good album, but I don't know the whole story. How much did Blue? Usually those hip hop guys get pretty involved with their production, unless they're assholes, in which case they're just like, yo man, make me a beat and I'll just fucking rap over it, some next shit, motherfucker. But yeah, he sounded really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I am a little bit of a fan of him. We'll see how it goes. I'll listen to some of his other stuff. The sometimes stilted samples, like in People Call Me Blue, are common in old school hip hop boom bap. Oh, hells yeah. It's really meant to complement the beat since the tracks lacked typical song structure. So Blue is blending old songs, all of which includes blues thematically or even literal use of the word blues and modern jazz rap influence to comment on today's societal woes. Yeah, I freaking love that album. Did I say that enough? I know I said it's a really amazing album, but I don't know if I stressed enough just how much like I enjoyed that album. Which, I mean, you guys know me. I'm a piano guy, and one of the biggest like influences, like one of the biggest styles that piano has had an influence on is the blues. Like you see those old guys playing the piano. It's like boom, 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 boom. You know, they're the blues. They say they're playing the blues. That's how like these older people learned to play the piano. They didn't know how to play classical piano. They played the blues, and it's so much easier to play. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's a really fun style of music, and it was a really creative way of approaching a very otherwise dated instrument, right? Because like if it hadn't been for blues, piano probably wouldn't be included in like a lot of like rock and roll music, you know. So it probably would have like if it weren't for blues and jazz, piano probably wouldn't be that relevant today. In fact, it really isn't because like during the rock and roll revolution, piano just kind of got faded out because people wanted to be able to be very active with their instruments, and you couldn't do that when you were stuck at a piano or a keyboard. That's why we got things like the guitar, which are cool. I would love to get a guitar someday, but like the reasons I love piano is the diversity that it has as an instrument, and just its ability to completely make up a whole like band, right? Like you got the low end and the high end all in one instrument, and it even like does percussion to an extent. So it's really pretty awesome. So anything that has piano in it, I will always get really excited. Um, all right, so that was her thoughts on that. Ah. And next up, Porter Robinson's Nurture has such an insanely positive aura about it without feeling disingenuous. The vocal mix doesn't appeal to everyone. The effects applied to change Porter's pitch, I think, really sweet and instantly complementary to the glistening synth pop instrumentation. Again, it's not for everyone, but I find vocal pitch shifting to be just another tool in an artist's kit to express themselves emotionally. Oh yeah, I mean, I don't mind autotune and pitch shifting and all that stuff as much as I used to. Used to be like they're not real singers, but the reality is I just can't sing for the life of me, and I feel jelly of people who can. And I don't know. And the other thing is like I maybe it's an art in and of itself. Now that I've tried using autotune in some of my songs, I realize it's not as easy as a push of a button, which is what a lot of these, especially older musicians will say. It's just like, oh, they're just pushing a button and fixing their pitch. It's like, no, engineers and producers work really hard to get autotune and pitch shifting the sound right. It's not as easy as just applying the effect and watching your singing improve. And the reason I haven't used it on a lot of my recent tracks is just because I don't like the way it sounds for me when I do it. And I think that's purely to blame for the fact that I don't know how to do it. And it's another thing that I need to learn. And it sucks because I was thinking about this today. I know I'm getting way off topic with what this email was supposed to be talking about, but I was just thinking about like all the things I want to learn and all the time it takes to do that. And I realized like, a lot of people like, oh, I can't learn that. I can't learn that. You know, I always have been really good at teaching myself stuff, but now it's just like it's so hard to find time, and it's been like that the past fucking 3-4 years. It's gotten harder and harder to find time to learn new things and to try new things. That's the main reason I quit Homeschool Nerd, was just because it took too much time doing that channel and I wasn't getting much in return. And I mean, I've talked about why I quit it, and now I've got a video coming out kind of talking about the end of Homeschool Nerd. Since it's been a couple years now, seems like a good time to talk about it, and kind of put the lid on the coffin, because I mean, people were talking about, is there going to be a return of Homeschool Nerd? And I've even speculated on the podcast like, wouldn't it be fun to kind of do something about that? But I mean, I just not feeling it, man. I'm just not feeling it. I don't like that project. Was so fun and I love doing it and I love the people I met, but I want to move the things I do in a new direction, and I want YouTube to still be a part of that, but I don't want to lose touch with the new direction that my life and art is heading. And I want to leave room to do new things. And unfortunately, if Homeschool Nerd had grown enough that AI was my full-time gig, I would just be doing stuff constantly on it. I would probably already be both working on an album and a game. But yeah, let's talk about the third album. Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia is a pretty bold stylistic change for Dua, and she was responsible for many of the artistic decisions made on it. See, this is what I needed to know before. I wish I'd known that, because like I was questioning, like, was this like, oh, this was like the producer, or was it her? You know, I'm always afraid, especially these female pop stars. They are not treated well by the industry. There was one, I forget her name. She was on Ben Folds' podcast, but she was talking about on that about like being assigned a male writing partner, and he was just like, uh, girl singers really like is these songs about partying. Let's write a song about partying. She's like, I don't want to write a song about partying, but he, of course, wouldn't listen, cause man. Um, and yeah, it's just like she felt really just ignored, and like her vision of what she wanted to do didn't matter. And you could argue that it was like, well, but she went on to to figure out ways to do what she wanted to. It's like, yeah, but like I don't know. People have been a lot more they tend to be a lot more respectful of like you know like if I say, oh, I just don't want to do that. Sorry. It's like, oh, Vinny, what if you do this? I don't wanna. And that's end the story. But like for a lot of these ladies in the pop industry, it's just such a fucking battle to do what they want. Anyway, okay. It's a pretty bold stylistic change for Dua, and she was responsible for many of the artistic changes or decisions made on it. Sorry, my lips are not doing what they should be doing. As she was much more involved with the new funk production that's really helped popularize the genre in the modern pop sphere. A good amount of the tracks' lyrics do focus on relationships, but I personally don't mind. I mean, yeah, it's just it definitely is a thing which is just like, that's what a lot of people write about. And I sometimes wonder if that's really their experience. But anyway, connecting with a person emotionally or physically is still a big part of the human experience for most people, as long as it isn't pandering anyway. I didn't love the album at first, but it did appreciate on multiple listens, and now I'm a big fan. Okay, so I think that could be part of it, is that I would need a few more listens to really connect with it. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I objectively, it's a fantastic album. I can't argue with that. Um, I just didn't enjoy it as much as the other ones. And I don't really think that that's like a bad thing. I just you know what? Here's the deal. I love seeing artists take their art in the direction they want to. Dua Lipa got to do something she wanted to do and experiment with a style she wasn't used to and people weren't used to her doing. And it's a huge hit. Like don't show up. That's probably isn't that's her biggest hit today, right? Like that's a huge song. Like this album was big enough that they even did like a kind of not a remaster version, but like an extended album for it. You know, which I kind of like the cover of that more because it's a really pretty album cover, like her against the moon. Very nice, very nice. Um, but I don't I don't know why I don't like certain songs. It's hard to say. Maybe I was feeling more tired when I listened to it. Maybe I wasn't quite ready. But like objectively, it's a fantastic album, and like all the songs on it were really well produced and really well written. And like I don't know. I was I was mostly talking about the talking about the whole you know relationship dynamic of like you know when I listen to these songs, you know, where it's just like singing about how bad the people you're with are. It's just like maybe you should take some time alone, you know. Maybe you need to take a break from being around people. Maybe dating's something you need to take a break from. But at the same time, like again, the search for love is such a like it's such a inherently human experience, and you know it's something that like I've thought about a lot because of that feeling of like how do you instill into kids that that inherent like sense of like self-worth and like the fact that they deserve love without making them narcissistic. How do you teach them that hey, you deserve to be loved, but you also owe it to the person you're with to love them back and you know to be fully committed to whatever relationship you are in. I don't know because like when I look back, I don't know how I ended up like I am now. I think I because like my when you look at my siblings, you know, older and younger, none of us are really the same when it comes to how we approach life, how we approach our relationships with other people, you know, how we approach these kind of concepts of self-love and self-worth, you know. I think I think maybe I'm just naturally a realist. This is what makes me like question the idea of like uh there even being free will, cuz like I feel like I don't have any choice in the choices I make, right? Like I didn't choose to be skeptical and be, you know, want want evidence for the things I believe. That's just how I am naturally. That's why I love science. That's why I've always loved science, and that's why for so long I couldn't do science was because it was just like, well, I'm asking too many questions. I gotta stop myself from asking questions. How do I do that? By separating myself from the reality and this whole hobby I'd had of you know doing science. It's just it's like I don't know. Anyway, let me finish reading the email. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Thanks again for listening to them. I love these albums, so I love sharing them with people. Sorry if this is a bit long, but I wanted to add my 2 cents. And if you want any more suggestions, I have a ton of them. You know what? You know what? I would love more suggestions. Um, so yeah, if you got more, if anyone listening at all has some recommendations for the aux cable, feel free to send them in. Like I said, contact thevineyhunter.com is the easiest way for me to have these all in one place. But if you want, just leave them in the comments. I'll check them out there too. You know, I don't have a ton of listeners right now. So you know what? If you want to just leave in the comments, I'll find them. I'll find them. Don't worry about me. And yeah, thanks for sending these albums in because I legitimately did love these. And yeah, it's I love hearing new music, whether or not I end up loving it or not, because I think expanding your music vocabulary is a great way to improve yourself as an artist And it's something that I encourage everyone to do. If you want to be a filmmaker, don't just watch modern films. Go back to the 50s and 60s and watch those old films. Go back even to the 1920s and watch some of the first films ever made, and try to figure out, like, you know, how this kind of storytelling process is done. If you're a musician, don't just listen to the kind of music you like making or like listening to. Listen to a whole bunch of different genres, because there's something to learn everywhere, and it makes your music more diverse and more interesting. And there's a reason. There's a reason that, like, these successful musicians, these successful pop stars, you may accuse them of being one note, but most of them, if you actually like talk to them, listen to the interviews with them, they have very a bunch of interesting takes on stuff. You know, there a lot of them are very unique people. It doesn't have to be listened to because they're not just there for show. A lot of them have had, they've had, a lot of these people are older. A lot of these pop stars are older than I am, way older, you know, and they've had a lot of experience, even in that, even the ones that are the same age or younger than me. A lot of them have had more experience in different kinds of music. And just because you think that their music is one note, maybe you're missing it. Maybe you just don't know enough about it. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't mean to cut you guys down. I was just trying to advocate for getting out of your comfort zone and trying new things. That's that's my favorite thing in the world. Trying new things. Um. Okay. So the thing I want to talk about was a comment on the last video from our good friend Jonathan Carmona. He pointed out, okay, here's his little tidbit of information for your day. Okay, here's what he says: milk is objectively healthy to drink for almost anyone if you get it raw and organic and whole. Get that whole cow. The nutrition is in the natural fat. I personally thought I was lactose intolerant until I switched to organic milk. That simple change allowed me to go on enjoying milk. Well, that's good, man. That's good. You get to enjoy something that you love. I Yeah, I think that was the kind of point I was trying to make. Is like, I hate it when people are just like, "You're not a baby cow. What are you drinking baby cow milk?" And like, the when it comes to like health, I think the internet is the worst place to get like information on it, because like, you go back the last 30 years, you can find a study for everything. It's about like I've talked about the 8 cups of water being like, that's how much water you drink. It's like, no, that's how much water you need. You get most of that in the food you eat. Unless you're living on chips, you don't need 8 glasses of water a day. Um, but yeah, it's just like, when it comes to milk, part of me is just like, it's weird, right? Like, when you take a step back from it, it's weird that we like farm these animals in order to access the foods they produce for their young. Especially, you look at like animals, like even most cats in the wild are lactose intolerant, because you don't produce lactase. That's what it's called, right? Lactase. Um, lactate. Is that what it is? Lactate is an organic acid. Is a molecular formula. It is white in a solid state. It is miscible in water. When it's solid state, it's formed a colorless solution. Uh, is that am I thinking the wrong thing? Anyway, whatever it is, it's a thing that you need to break down lactose in milk. Um, and the reason that a lot of people are lactose intolerant is not because something's wrong with them. In fact, that is like a normal way to be. But at the same time, like, because like, yeah, most animals in the wild can't drink milk past their infancy because they can't break it down. They don't have that. It isn't produced in them. It's only produced in infants and young animals. But like, even like, both house cats and humans have adapted and can adapt themselves in order to be able to drink milk. And whenever you have such an obscure adaptation, I can't help but wondering if maybe maybe that is like, there clearly was some benefit to milk, to being able to drink milk, because we evolved to be able to do that. It's a mutation that allows us to be able to drink milk past the age of 12. Um, and a majority of people have that. Like, all things considered, like, sure, lactose intolerance is is at an all time high. But for like we look back, there's evidence of like Mesopotamians, one of the earliest recorded civilizations, or not recorded, but you know, I guess sort of recorded, because there is the Mesopotamian book of myths that has the original version of Noah's Ark in it. Um, and yeah, the that's the oldest kind of known civilization, and there's evidence that they had, cattle for milk. And so it's like we've been drinking it for so long. Apparently, I don't know whether it was because there was nutrients in it that we needed, or if it's because when we were short on food, we were able to drink milk from cows that could eat grass, which we couldn't. So then you survive off the milk whenever there's shortage of food. That's a plausible theory. And I'm sure there have been people like kind of that have also like, looked into this, and I would be very curious to look it up. I should do that right now, but I'm not going to because I'm very lazy. But yeah, like, I mean, shucks, dude. At the end of the day, if you're able to drink milk and you enjoy it, good on you, man. Good on you. But I guess my where I'm hesitant is just that I don't know. Can we all agree that like the organic label is worth nothing? I mean, you look at the actual like what's required for the organic label, and so much of it is just like, um, you know, so much of it is just like, does this actually affect the nutrients of this particular food? Because in my experience, and I know I always say don't trust your personal experience too much, because we as humans are biased, but also recognizing that bias is the first step towards actually having valid information. That's how science works. So welcome to Vinnie's TED Talk. But like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it is just like, in order to get this label, they jump through all these hoops, but in the end, you just have more expensive food. So the only difference is that it tastes about the same, and it doesn't last as long because they're not allowed to use preservatives. And at the end of the day, it's just like, well, maybe it's worth. There's something to be said about like the F the FDA, right? Federal Department of Agriculture, or is that somebody else? Anyway, their job is to uphold the bare minimum, and there's a lot of like there's a lot of compromise that we have to make. Just look up what was it in in India, there was that place where they decided they were going to go full on organic, and they didn't have enough natural fertilizer in order to grow the crops that they normally would. And so they ended up getting their asses handed to them because they weren't ready to switch over to organic. And the reason organic farming doesn't take off, even though everyone loves it, is because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable farming. And there are people who have argued, well, actually, you can do sustainable farming. If you just do this, if you do that, then you produce 4 times as much as of a harvest. And it's like, all right, man, do that then. Do that. Stop trying to change the rules. Stop trying to like talk people into adhering to your random label for organic. Just go do that. Show that it's possible, and the market will follow. If that happens, I'll be like, well, sustainable farming does work. I will gladly change my mind. But like, until then, I just can't help thinking that the whole thing is just another marketing ploy to get consumers to spend more money on produce, which, I'm just like, I go to the banana section of the store. Here we gotta go, the organic bananas. Oh, look, the organic bananas are all fucking green. What the hell? They just take all the green bananas? Better make these organic, otherwise we won't be able to sell them. They're all green and tiny. You look at the non-organic ones, and it's like, these are all yellow and bigger, and they taste better. I guess GMO and shit works good. Oh my gosh, bananas are weird because like we could just. There's only like I think there's only like one, or it might be just one. Maybe it's only a couple strains of bananas. I remember hearing about it at some point, reading about it a little bit. Not enough for it to really commit well to my memory. But yeah, like we could lose bananas because like the hybrid that we have, you can't reproduce it with the seeds off the fruit. You gotta get it from the you gotta get it from the tree itself. So it's just like there's a limit to if this say in like there are like um certain viruses that attack banana trees. So if there's one that attacks this certain specific kind of banana that makes bananas for the whole world on these few farms, we're screwed. No more bananas. We could like just randomly there could never be bananas again. Wouldn't that be crazy? One of the staples of like American food just gone. If you ever have free time, read up on the banana wars. I don't want to get into it now, but it's really interesting. Really, really interesting. I believe that's a Reagan era thingy. Uh anyway, guys. Anyway, I am yeah. That's mail time for you guys. If you got any comments, questions, concerns, things you want me to talk about, or you got something to say on you got something to plug into the aux cable, feel free to email it to contact@vinniehaunted.com. And yeah, I will freaking do that. Um, yeah, contactvinniehaunted.com is the email address, or just leave in the comments. Either one I will check out because your boy is on top of his show. He knows how to run a show. I know how to run my ding dang show. Anyway, let's move on to recommendations. Let's recommendations. Now that I have this soundboard, I should really freaking learn how to use it. I can't hear it. Oh, I don't have it turned up. It's time for recommendations. 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 Anyway. Ain't that cool, guys? We got a soundboard now. I'm like a real professional here. Okay, guys. So this week I've got some recommendations that I've been saving in the pot because I forgot them, but I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget them today. First off is this freaking movie from the 50s. It's called Ace in the Hole. Who directed it? Let me look it up. Ace in the Hole, 1951 film. Damn, that's old. And like who did it? Okay, let's look up the information about it. This was directed by Billy Wilder. It was unfortunately not a huge success at the box office, unfortunately, which doesn't really make sense because it's a really good film. It's a really well made film. Uh, like I wonder if I should just give like the Q's Notes version of it, or if I should just. It's hard to explain why it's such a good film without giving away the whole plot, but like it's essentially it explores the concept of journalism as entertainment. And the lead character, he should have fucking won an Oscar for this performance because it's so good, so good. Who's the lead? Starring Kirk Douglas. Yeah, I think he's been in some other stuff, hasn't he? Let's look him up. What else has he done? Douglas. He's been in Spartacus, Pass of Glory, The Vikings, Lost for Life, The War Wagon, The Final Countdown, Gunfight at the OK Corral. So he's been in a lot of old ones. But yeah, he's a good lead. He's a good lead character. Like it's he does such a good job of the role, and his performance is just really good when he's talking to like the younger character, which is essentially like his protege. And he's like saying, well, what if there were like 1,000 people trapped in the mine? And he's just like, public can't relate to 1,000 people. If you say 1,000 people are trapped in a cave, that's a tragedy. But if people can't relate to it though. But if one person, the public can relate to it. It's so freaking. It's such a well written and well produced film, and like, if it came out nowadays, it'd just be like a pretentious garbage film. But with it being a legitimate 1950 film, it's really good. It's really good. Oh my god. Kirk Douglas died in 2020. That's not that long ago. February 5th. Well, he probably didn't die of COVID. So, hey, he was a smart guy, you know? He decided to peace out. right before right before quarantine. He was just like, "Fuck that shit, I'm out, boy." Yeah. Anyway, it was a really well done film. It was just like, but like if you enjoy watching films because you love people that are good characters, don't show up here because this is a tragedy for people who like good characters because the only objectively good person, let me just say, there aren't very many of them, but the one or two they have, not too good of a not too good of an outcome, especially for the one guy. I don't think he's okay. Oh my god. All right. Next recommendation is this another album I discovered thanks to my friend Cyanice. Wonderful boy. Check him out on Twitch if you want. He's been working real hard trying to get back into streaming because he's been having some life troubles. Um yeah. What was I thinking about? Oh, I was looking at my notes so I could find it. Okay. So this album is called Eternal Nightcap. It's by the Whitlams. Wait, no. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Let me just okay. Yeah, sorry. I wrote it down what I wanted to recommend, but there was this other album I discovered the other day. I'll recommend it next week. I'll recommend it next week. This artist, Jeremy Zucker. I started listening to some of his music, so I was going to recommend them. But yeah, actually, what I was actually going to recommend this week, what I had written down from a few weeks ago that I forgot to recommend on the show. Okay, my brain's back in order now. We're back on track. Okay, this is Eternal Nightcap by the Whitlams. They were a Australian band. This album, I believe, came out in 1991. And it's a really good combination of just like 90s, what would you call? I guess 90s rock, um, combined with like a lot of the piano parts feel really old timey. We were talking about old styles of music. Yeah, I really love these bands that like you can tell were influenced a lot. That's what I love about the New Radicals is that it sounds like an album that would come out in like 73 or something, but it came out in 90s. Such a good album. Such a good album. Um, yeah. So yeah, the Eternal Nightcap by the Whitlams, great album. I really enjoy it. I like it. It's really good. Check it out. Why don't you? And yeah, last but not least, this is a heavy show. It's a podcast by what's that guy's name? I'm gonna have to look it up because I need to remember the guy's name because he's okay. Robert Evans. His work is incredible. He specializes in the far right, so he literally like keeps an eye on these like these these private militias, these people who are getting together um and deciding to get ready to shoot people that they don't like. We'll get rid of the liberals once they're all dead. Um, um, yeah. So essentially, this show, Assault on America, is a new podcast from iHeart, and I know iHeartRadio. I still complain about because I have way too many ads in there. But this is, I believe, is a 6-part kind of podcast, documentary styled podcast. Um, And if you're one of these folks who don't really care, like, oh, I get it, a bunch of rednecks stormed the Capitol, but only 2 people died. So, like, all things considered, it could have been worse. um, I think this podcast is worth a listen through. It's not super long. Um, I just I again there is some argument to be had because this was not a super well organized attack, right? There were a lot of private militia people there, but the kingpin, the kingpin of a couple of these, groups just weren't there, just didn't show up. They were just there on the audio chat, like, good luck in there, guys. Wow, have fun. And then they've received 0 charges. One guy was even like referred. They decided like, oh, that guy's a government informant because he didn't show up to the Capitol riots and he didn't get arrested, even though people in his organization did. And I can't believe people think like, why are they wasting money tracking down these people? It's like, I don't know, dude. Maybe because you need to actually pay attention to these kind of actions because like sure maybe it was nothing this time and maybe it is nothing, But after listening through this, it's just like, no, this has been stirring up for a long time, and it's not going to be the last thing we see. I don't know whether it was an attack, an insurrection, or just a really dumb mob. But like, I don't freaking get these people, right? Just heading in there like I get you're all anti-mask, but you're committing a crime, and it's like they didn't even know that. How can you run over a police a police gate while holding Blue Lives Matter flags and beating the police with it, heading to the Capitol and be like, I can't believe we're getting arrested a few weeks later. I don't understand it. It's almost like we posted ourselves on Instagram. Oh, man. But yeah, it's a really interesting listen. I definitely recommend it. And I get it if you think that's not for you. But I think even if you don't take this whole insurrection seriously, I still think it's worth a listen because freaking it's freaking it's worth listening to is what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm gonna move on because at this point I've either convinced you or I haven't. Let's is that it? We did recommendations, we did mail time. I think that's pretty much it, guys. So anyway, I think that's it for this podcast episode. Thank you as always for joining me. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I apologize. Way to end the episode, Vinny. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in again this week, guys. We've got, what do we got? One more episode for January. Oh, jeez, I'm Christmas. Oh, gosh, dang it. I'm going to have to end this episode because, gosh, dang it, this is killing me. We are doing good on goals for this year so far. I feel like we're really progressing. This episode felt better. I don't know, guys. It felt better. I felt like my head was more here. And I've had like nothing for sleep this week. See, this is what alcohol does to you. It wakes you up to being a better freaking person, or at least a better podcaster. Anyway, thank you as always, guys, for joining in. This has been episode 37. 37 episodes. So much fun. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Yeah, we're almost at episode 40. I gotta start having some guests on, guys. Gotta start having some guests on because this is getting ridiculous. We haven't had any guests on. What's going on? What's going on? Anyway. Focus, Vinny. Focus. All right. That's it for me, guys. Thank you as always for tuning in. I love you. Love yourselves. And have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week. And I'll see you back for another Friday.